What's going on, everyone?
Hey, we're back.
Yeah.
We are back.
The exciting part for me is I was so busy last week that this is going to be a lot of good news for me. As in, I don't know the news, so
New news.
it's new news. Maybe not good news. Who knows? You guys tell me what's the news? What's the news? What do we got going on?
We didn't get any new game launch dates or anything like that, but we do have the legacy date still in place for October 26th. Spider tanks, they're really attempting to engage the community a lot. They're trying to find new ways to get people excited about the game again. So they did a content creator contest. So it's YouTube Shorts. It started. It actually ended over the weekend. We had all this information gathered, but they're going to be giving away hundreds of dollars worth of component prizes and things like that for the top shorts. They're also doing. I don't know if any of you guys have checked out the Spider Squad streams. No.
A
bunch of the team members just get together and play, and a lot of times they'll do like giveaways during that, and then they'll also usually tag a nice little discount code for components, and this time around they included a discount code for tanks as well. So they're sensitive to the condition of the economy, and they're trying to make it a little bit easier for people to keep upgrading their tanks and even getting a hold of tanks. They're not ignoring that. There's only so much that can be done from an economic standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, talking to some of the game devs, right? Like, we've had some conversations with game devs that they are, the economy itself is, something that they're not a huge fan of. They want to make a fun game and let people play, and they feel that the economy is potentially hindering that. So I tend to agree. But man, I like seeing them doing these, the weekly streams, and getting that stuff out there. Discounts are great. Get people in. I mean, the silk price has just been diving off a cliff. So continually going.
Well, and that's because nobody has a reason to hold on to it, right? It takes forever to get enough of it to upgrade. Many of these guys already have their tanks upgraded all the way, and they're just kind of grinding out max level stuff.
Yeah, I'm one of them, right? I mean, all my tanks, I put all the silk into it from the get-go. They've been upgraded, and now it's just there. I got a bunch of silk sitting in my treasure chest. So
we've been, as a community, we've been kind of tackling the idea of how do you encourage people to spend their silk rather than dump it, and obviously, like from the outset, it was tied to the ownership of the tanks and the upgrading of the tanks, but that all is just about more earnings. So even though they do have the model, it's not the same as the town coin model was, where it was just like minted daily to you. They do have that the limitations on how much is going to be minted, but you're still just reallocating who gets more of it. So it's still the focus for spending is still all about earning. We were coming up with some neat ideas for features, and I hope some of these stick because they seemed like they would work. But one of the ones that got tossed out was an idea that so right now when you go into play, there's a menu that comes up with you and your team, and you get to pick your abilities or make adjustments to your abilities, right? So based on the game mode or what other teammates you have that particular round, you might see better use out of, say, a vortex zone instead of your speed boost or something like that. And so they allow you to change that. And one of the big problems with that is that reactive plating is always on the table, and that reactive plating is like the death knell for flamethrower. So it is more or less made flamethrower a non-combatant in spider tanks. So there was an idea that got tossed out that, okay, well, what happens if when you get to that screen, you don't get to choose from all of them? You just get maybe 5 or 6 to choose from. So if you have reactive plating already queued up, that's fine. Then you might want to like change to it. But if it's not there, how about they let you pay for a rerun on the 6 that you have there? So that would be something it's not necessary. It's not, you're not forcing people to spend, but you are definitely giving them a compelling reason to spend. And that would be a spend that just vanishes, like that. Those tokens, they could immediately be burned or however you want to go about it. It could even be used to. I don't know what's the income stream right now for Gala or Game Media on that game. Like how are they making money on it other than selling more NFTs? So anyway, so just if we can be dialing in on costs that are compelling costs that don't necessarily make people feel like they're pumping quarters into a machine every time they want to play. Although the arcade game model was pretty successful for a really long time. There's a lot of people that pump quarters into machines for years and years.
Like one thing I think about when, or actually, what did Titan say? Spend idle silk on cosmetic parts. Yeah.
Why not allow the players to spend idle silk on cosmetic parts to build their own maps out? Why not? I mean, the maps are there's a huge ability to utilize those maps as a a silk dump for people to put into. I mean, you can do so much with the maps. The concept of it, what it was sold as, right? The ability to take those and utilize them as your own map to have people come and play in for tournament styles, cosmetic upgrades, advertising. I mean, I could sit down and talk about a million different ways that they could utilize silk, and the map would be a giant part of that.
The first thing I think of, and you just mentioned it, is just cosmetics. I mean, you can look at any Web 2 game. That's where, you look at something like Fortnite. Like, that's where 90% of their income comes from, is just they release skins or like trails that your person creates, or little things that have nothing to do with your ability to compete in a game, but people like having their things look specific ways. And I think that'd be such an easy way to, one, there's the coding side of it isn't difficult because you're not changing functionality, you're purely changing appearance, and we know that that's a successful model. So it's interesting to me that they haven't tried to pursue that as much yet.
And some of that may be the slow/poor communication between Gala and Game Media too. There does seem to be difficulty understanding whose role is what thing. Who is actually supposed to accomplish this task. We as the community, we don't have a window into that really. So so that makes it pretty hard for us.
We only get to hear one side and the other, and they're both pointing the finger at each other. So it's realistically, let's just get stuff done. Anyways, probably enough on that side. We can move forward.
One last thing on spider tanks, they did give out the rewards for Arachnid August. There were 2 weeks in August where they were they were giving out things for gameplay, number of wins. You had different tiers where you could earn at. And then the Spider Friends referral program. They beefed it up a bit over the past week or two, and then they distributed a bunch of things for that as well. So that was positive. They got the backlog of things that the community was expecting from them. They took care of that. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah. That was in my head over the weekend. I'm haunted.
You're welcome. If you ever buy a croissant too, you'll be like, croissant, please.
I don't think I'm ever going to buy a croissant. Although I will buy a croissant sandwich. You cannot beat the croissant sandwich for breakfast sandwich. That's my personal opinion. If you're doing it fast food style, anyway.
Yeah.
You don't eat fast food. You kill your own food. Anyway,
Forages.
Sometimes.
Yeah, he forges his food in crypto. So let's look at Echoes of Empire real quick. We still don't have a date for them yet, but they're also they've got the perspective of keep the community engaged. They've been running some here and there. They've been running some Discord games where they're just it's just little clicker things that are exciting to those of us who care about the game or just like enjoy being in that community. But largely it's just about some more of the well, it's not even skins, but it's like little vanity items for your account on Discord. We haven't had any. We didn't have any last week, but they've done at least 3 or 4 different ones where you can just build up a certain amount of reputation essentially within the Discord server. They also do have some other things that they've been putting out through Twitter, especially or X. A lot of updates with the things that they're building out now that they have more time to work on it. So the 2 notable ones this week were the Peace Shield and the teleport system that they're working on. So they're not going to make us slowly cruise across the universe in order to get to our teammates. There is going to be a way, and it may be a paid feature. It almost has to be that you maybe exhaust some dust in order to get to where you need to be. But strategically, it'll help to be able to be like where you need, like either with your teammates or your guild mates while you're in like mining and defense mode. And if you're going to go on the offensive, you definitely want to be able to be right up next to them so you can keep sending your fleets out. So that'll alter the way we go about both defense and offense within the game. That'll be neat.
Yeah.
The Peace Shield too. I mean, that's a huge strategy change because if someone's able to bubble up, then they're why go after them? You're just farting in the wind.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And we still don't know about the blueprint sale either. Those are there's a lot of guys in the Discord channel that are kind of waiting with bated breath to see those things come out. Some of the rarer blueprints, like the legendary caliber, they have the ability to actually like not only can you make your own ships with them, but you can make blueprints and sell those blueprints to other people. At least that's the model that they started with. We'll see if there are any adjustments to that. But so there's some people that are eager for that. They don't want to miss it because if they're going for the big ones, they don't want to have them run out before they get a chance to get their hands on them.
So just for clarification, is the way the blueprints are going to work within the game is you acquire the blueprint and then you have to play the game to get the resources necessary to craft the blueprint item in game?
Yes. And also you can upgrade your blueprint. So many of, like in the last playtest, they were giving us blueprints regularly as quest rewards and things like that. And you're given a base level blueprint, but you also had it's essentially it's the equivalent of your university building where you were able to upgrade those blueprints, level them up, and as you leveled them up, the advantages were significant. So it was totally worth it. It also got far more expensive as you got to the higher levels to get that next upgrade. But the ship that you're producing with a max level blueprint is vastly superior to the base level ones, and we do have persistent blueprints now. The ones that they were issuing to us were so like a one shot, and you could take the time and level up a one shot blueprint, but it obviously makes a lot more sense to level up the NFT blueprint that's going to persist, and then you'll have that. The difference there is that you might score a ship that you really wanted, and you only have a temporary version of it. Whereas if you want to get that same ship in an NFT, it might cost a ton. So it kind of depends on how people are valuing the particular attack style or mining style of the ships.
I don't know if there's any plan for this or if it's necessarily feasible, but one thing I think would be really interesting to see is It would probably apply more for lower level blueprints or temporary items like that, but some sort of player to player exchange within the game where it's like, hey, I need these resources and I have this auxiliary blueprint that I'm not utilizing.
Hmm.
Is there someone out there who wants to mine these resources for me, and I'll trade them this in for their work, so to speak.
Yeah, all of these games with an in-game marketplace, it seems like that would thrive. But
makes so much sense.
Yeah, and that's a degree of coding that I'm unfamiliar with, and it's also and then there's also a need for balance there. That'll quickly bring into focus whether or not there's like an inflationary nature to the NFTs. Like if there's too many of this or that, and we've seen over and over again if there's any possible exploit or a way to take advantage, this community is going to find it like instantaneously. So they really need to do their math before they put something like that out there.
Yep.
And there was a Meow Match AMA on October 3rd. Mal is kind of a community favorite in regards to the AMAs because he just has such a great way of like presenting things, and he's not afraid to say anything really. you end up going down these rabbit trails with him where all of a sudden you're like, we're not talking about Meow Match at all, but I'm still enjoying it because he has such a wonderful accent.
I love it. That's too funny.
But he did mention some cool things there. I don't play Meow Match, so I'm not updated on the ins and outs of how these things will directly impact gameplay, but there is a Meow Mansion feature that they're working on. He spent some time. The AMA itself was it was largely like what he would like to see. A lot of the things that they're pushing towards, and yet there wasn't anything really nailed down specifically as this is definitely going to happen. Okay. But they did nail down that there's going to be a lot of because Meow Match is it's a mobile game that you can get it through the Play stores, and so a lot of people that would have interest in it are coming to it without any kind of Web3 knowledge. They've now made it that you can instead of going through the Gala launcher and having to deal with the friction there, you've been able to load the Meow Match game from the very outset. And now there is a link to your Gala Games account thing that if you do so, you'll get 1,000 kitty cash for the game, which that was an exciting promotion. This doesn't work for people that are already linked. Unfortunately, if you already have your account linked, you can't qualify for it. But it's a way to help bring more people into the Web3 space to kind of step them through the process, which is kind of the way that it probably always should have been. Like here, play the game, and if you have any interest in going deeper with it, we'll step you through the process. But at least get the players into the game.
Mm-hmm. They have to have that. They have to have a way to the onboarding side of it, and just kind of the innate barriers that exist for people who don't know the Web3 side. I mean, make it easy, make it simple, make it quick, concise. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer.
Well, and Meow Match and Dragon Strike both, they were brought on board with the Ember Games acquisition, and so they are Web 2 games. They're right now they're just trying to find a way to actually get some presence there. So.
If Gala's ever watching, this Jake Jacobson guy, they really should hire this guy. He has so many great ideas for adding syncs into these games. Like, obviously, this is a top tier. I mean, they should pay him for this right now. I mean, Meow Match needs a sync where the cats can go to the kitty dispensary and trade gems for catnip. I mean, yes, all day long. I'm not a Meow Match guy either. I think I logged into it and opened it up and looked at it and I was like, no, I'm out. Can't play it. Sorry. Just wasn't my game.
I have spent a bunch of time in Dragon Strike, and so I do know
we need to create a guild. I'm in the Gravy Gang guild right now, but there's not a lot of players in there that are playing. It seems to be kind of I'm the only one that plays. So we should probably create a Gala Collective guild.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know we'll get ER Crypto on there. He's literally like he plays that thing nonstop. He's got like level 900s of stuff. I don't even know. So yeah, I think we should.
There's a lot to do in there. It's a pretty full game. There's a lot of things to take into account each time you're trying. Like before you spend anything in there, make sure that you know what you're spending it on, because there are some things that you just have to learn in advance, or else you end up wasting a lot of resources. But
yeah, 100%.
But there's also there's a lot out there, and my understanding is that the NFT prices for some of those or those heroes, they're going down, and so you can pick up some really good characters relatively cheap. Now, obviously, the top tier ones, and everyone's got their favorites, but there are some that are just categorically good. Those guys are still going to go for a hefty price, and it does take into account the amount of work that it took to get there, because most of those people weren't able to get those characters leveled all the way up without spending something.
Yeah. Even
prior to Gala being involved, there was a lot of spending involved in the game to get those characters boosted.
Oh, but
yeah. There are some good buys out there that if you want to get an NFT team rolling, you can do it with relative ease. Other similar news, the Poker Go thing. They are mobile, so I guess we can lump them in with the mobile games. They did finish up their week 5 sweepstakes, and I like the way that they're doing this. They give you a kind of like a heads up. Hey, you got like 24 hours left in this sweepstakes. Get out there, earn as many chips as you can in order to qualify for those entries. I've managed to I play sparingly. I don't have time to sit in front of a poker app these days, and yet if I take they've made it so that you don't have to earn so many chips. You can have like 1 or 2 really good hands and come away with a bunch of entries, and then if they score, then you end up with some extra Gala in your account. So that's
yeah.
My best was like close to 200 Gala. I think the last couple of weeks it was like, I don't know, in the teens or something like that, because I just didn't earn as many entries. But it's a solid poker game. You get the guys that are complaining and saying, "Oh, there has to be something wrong with this. We just had somebody get a straight flush." It's like, yeah, well, that kind of happens in random poker.
Yeah.
I've seen some weird stuff happen in like in-person poker. It's like I get dealt the same down cards like 3 hands in a row. It's like these guys aren't cheating. I watched them shuffle. It was 3 different people that shuffled. It's just
yeah.
Sometimes it just happens that way.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with the RNG. I like the game plays like a good poker game, and it's just there aren't that many people in it yet. The tables there might be like 3 or 4 tables active. The sit and goes, you have to kind of sit in them for a while before one will launch. You have to kind of be committed to like having that active, either in the background or whatever, while you're doing whatever else you do, in order to like let people see that there's actually interest in one of those before they launch. But yeah, it's 350,000 Gala total prize pool, and you get 1 entry per 1,000 chips. So,
and do your chips get burned, like so to speak, when you enter a sweepstake, or like if I have 10,000 chips, do I get 10 entries and then I still get to play with those 10,000 chips?
Okay, so you start with a base amount of chips based on what you have in regards to like if you bought an NFT frame, the different rarities of frames allow you to start with a different number of chips. They don't base your entries on your starting chips. They base them on your take from a table.
Got it.
So if it doesn't matter how many chips you start with. It's about how many chips you've taken from somebody else, essentially. Yeah. How much have you won?
Got it.
And in a 24-hour period, If you go up, but then you start losing, that will come out of your take. So it does hold that into account. But after the 24 hours, it's resolved, and you get a certain number of entries based on what you had, and then you start over again with, and your chips are refreshed also. So maybe you were already up. Day to day, you have a carryover amount of the chips that you won. So if you say you started with a base level and you only had 5,000 chips to work with, but you just went on a tear and you ended up with millions of chips, you won't have those millions of chips the next day, but you will have a percentage of those to start with. So you won't be starting out with just the 5,000. And your NFT frames can be upgraded to improve the amount of carryover chips that you get. So, so you can either like work to upgrade whatever frame you have, or you can just play the daylights out of it and be good at it. Like being good at poker is, I love poker over any other card game, honestly, because it is so skill based. Yes, it's entirely random what cards come out, but there's so much reading to be done that it really is on you as to whether or not you're winning. You can have a bad day, I guess, but most people are. Yeah, there's a reason that it's the same guys at the top tables in the poker tournament, right? They're like, it's obviously not that they are luckier than other people, although luck. Sometimes that helps.
There's a lot more luck in games like blackjack than there is in poker.
Yeah, that to me that's gambling. That's you're just kind of like, we'll see what
at the whim of the cards. Yeah.
Got to be a card counter.
Yeah, for real.
Cool.
Rain Man.
Right, so we were gingerly approaching this. Rain Man.
Gingerly.
The common ground world situation.
Wait, hold on.
Tournament.
Common ground.
Yeah,
what's common ground?
We talked about this last week.
There's is this a new game? Is this a new game?
It is a new game, but it's not a new game. It's a new face on an old game.
Facelift.
Let's take a game and we'll just call it common ground. And yeah, cool. Okay, so
yeah, so. What's interesting is we still have to bridge because we're talking about the nodes now, and the Townstar nodes are still what they are. You know, the nodes themselves are going to be rebranded. So this has been a hot topic in just about every discussion channel around Gala. I'm going to take a back seat here for a moment, just so we can get some thoughts out. Townstar nodes now get they're going to earn dirt. Well, they're going to be called common ground nodes, and they're going to earn dirt, which is a soft token, similar to what we have with the Gala Music and Gala Film platform. They now have beams for music. It used to be decibels, and now and film has their popcorn thing. It's a database currency. There's no blockchain interaction with it, but it's supposed to allow you to earn more when you can earn something. I think that's the basic understanding.
That just sounded so funny. It's going to allow you to earn more when you're allowed to earn something. like So
I think that's the simplest way.
You know, I get it. So I hope to God they do not make dirt an actual ERC20. Because ultimately what they're doing is they would take not take any suggestions, Townstar, not take any suggestions for any type of actual like syncs and modifications to create a better economy when it was being yelled to the top of the fucking universe that it was horrid. And then shut it down saying, oh, this is unsustainable. No shit. And then turn around and just scrap the whole project, even though along the way they're talking about bringing it live, not giving any utility to these magical Townstar nodes, which there's a lot of great possibilities, much like when we were talking about Silk and the ability to utilize Silk and stuff. The nodes themselves could be a sync for the token that was there. Anyways, so then now we're going fast forward, and they're rebranding Common Ground. or Townstar to Common Ground. And tell me where I'm wrong. This is all things that I've heard. Common Ground World. They are going to take the Townstar nodes, rebrand those to Common Ground, and give you, for every one node, you get how many? 5, 10, 15?
It depends on how much you paid for your node.
Oh, that's right. So it's $1,000 per node. So if you paid $10,000, you get 10 nodes.
Yeah.
Correct? So, and they kind of said in there that they were going to resell nodes. They're going to put those on sale again to sell nodes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're going to sell their nodes before they put the other these Townstar or the Common Ground nodes as NFTs, so other people with those can sell them. I'm assuming it'd be nice if they actually did something for the customer first. For once, the one thing that I thought was a great concept was the ability to upgrade your node with the extra nodes that you got. And then Dirt as a token, did they say what this token was going to be used for? I forget.
Again, it's kind of a placeholder database token.
You're just going to earn this token, and there's zero utility for it right now.
Well, there's zero that they've disclosed. So we have the beams. I think beams is probably the best thing to look at in comparison. So
yeah,
Gala Music node owners were earning decibels for it was like a year in advance of the different features of the Gala Music platform being launched. And then the big transition came that they decided to convert to another soft token called Beams that the earnings for Beams was a little bit more complex because it included the pairing of your track NFTs with your nodes. And then node owners were kind of like taken by surprise because they had been running these nodes for a really long time, and they were awarded a certain amount of beams for that, but it was kind of a pittance in comparison to what the music tracks were earning. And even now, there's a lot of node owners that, unless they have tracks paired with their node, they don't earn anything.
Right. So we'll kind of move it back to the Common Ground node itself. Is they have this soft token, which they shouldn't even call it a token because it's just it's their own little database deal that they have going on to show that people are running a node. Have we seen anything in terms of economics within Townstar? Anything new recently?
No, that
Common Ground. I'm going to start calling it Common Ground. I got to say it 10 times. Yeah, 10 times over.
CGW, which is really a mouthful. Anyway, so they were in the process of building out a light paper for us to look over.
I remember that.
Talking about implementation of earnings again, and then this Common Ground World rebrand kind of came out of the blue, and that took all of their bandwidth. So all of the other stuff that they were working on, who knows how close they were to actually having it finalized, that got deprioritized. So now they had to come up with a completely new game mode for the game, and they're working on all the other features that will turn it from Townstar into Common Ground World. So whether it's just some of it's just art, but some of it, like I said, they actually did build out an entire new game mode. It's still the same town as Townstar, but things
just
it's a harder slower game.
Like they actually haven't given any tokenomics out of what they were talking about, right?
Nothing specific, no.
Zero.
Okay. They did.
So they're going to create another token. They're going to create another token before they even release any type of tokenomics for said token, correct?
Right.
Okay. Neat.
So there's supposed to be another blockchain token. I don't know if they'll go with ERC20. I really hope they don't. Gala should be the only ERC20 token in the ecosystem. All the game tokens,
they don't have a
Gala chain. But if you this is one of the things that made it didn't make sense when they introduced Materium, Towncoin and Materium. I was like, these should not be ERC20 tokens. Gala should be the ERC20 token. There should be an enclosed ecosystem with all these other game tokens. If you look at the Wax blockchain, Wax blockchain has the Alcord DEX. There are so many different garbage tokens on Wax. Every project has its own token. The Alcord DEX is specific to the Wax blockchain, but none of these tokens have any kind of access to the real world except through the Wax token itself. And so there's pairings against Wax. There's pairings against other coins that don't amount to anything. It doesn't matter. But all of that is within an enclosed ecosystem. And if you want to actually like extract, you have to turn it into Wax. Wax is out there on a lot of like top exchanges, and you can actually get something else, something worth valuable for it. If they could have done that with the game tokens, well, there's also a neat little twist here. That becomes a situation where it's an enclosed gaming ecosystem, and there's at least within the United States, there's precedence for gaming ecosystem tokens to be completely excluded from taxation consideration. Like that would have been such an amazing move, because if they want Materium to be playable as a token within the game, every single time you spend a single Materium, there's a tax implication.
Hence why it should be a database token for all internal games. And then when you bridge it out into the Gala token, this is all old news that we've talked about for years.
Yeah,
that it should be Gala tokens, the main token. It's all a moot point anyway. Everybody keeps talking about Gala chain. There is no Gala chain. There is none. And I say that in the hopes that I'm actually going to get some sort of actual, access to Gala chain to build on Gala chain. Like, so I can actually verify that there is an actual chain and not just a database that they're sending information over and giving people access to their wallet tracker, the block explorer. Thank you. Right now, there's no third party. There's nobody else that's running a validator to be able to say that anything like this is happening. You don't have the ability to do that. You don't have the ability to build on this chain. So there is no Gala chain until they give that access. And I know they released their little document that didn't really tell anybody anything. In all reality, the 13-page document that the benefactor pushed out, it didn't really say anything. There was no actual access to anything. Like there was, until that's there is no Gala chain. Give me access. Shit, we are building right now, like to access. We'll link it together. We have so many things that we want to do on Gala chain, but you're making it really difficult in your magical world that you have over there. We want to put the Gala Collective on Gala chain right now. We're planning on putting on XRPL, right? Like I'd rather do it on Gala chain. It's the Gala Collective. Let's get it on Gala chain. We're building a marketplace for Gala chain. We're building a DEX for Gala chain. All this stuff. So give us access so we can actually see this. So the problem is they don't want to give us access because there's too much information that they don't want to be public. So.
Was that a massive leak right there? This whole idea of marketplace and DEX being built?
No, I don't think so. We've talked about it.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that had been announced in any other formats. It's like, oh, awesome news for the Gala Gazette podcast. Super leak from
breaking.
The super leak in that would be is, I personally want. So we're building that through Blackharp. Blackharp obviously is one of the companies that I am owner of, and we want the Gala Collective to own a portion of a large portion of the marketplace, of the DEX, of anything else that we're building. Like we're building this right now in hopes that we get the Gala Collective going. You're going to have people that are going to be able to, a lot of our devs will probably be paid through the collective to continue it forward. So we want it's building for the community. 100% is what we're doing. Like, gosh, like just give us the access so we can actually build. Right. So I know I'm being impatient, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
We're ready. We're ready to,
Talking about impatience. Okay, how many of us have been impatient about things like farm bots and trade bots and boom bots? At least they finally acknowledged the existence of them. They said that they are supposed to have a home within the common ground world nodes. They're supposed to do something in there. They weren't very clear on what that something is. They tied it to in-game spoils was the direct quote.
Great, as long as I get to use them. I mean, I've got a farm bot, I've got a boom bot, I've got whatever. I've got all sorts of stuff. I've got sorts of trade bot. I've got a trade bot. Yeah, tons of stuff. So
yeah, so they did at least that balloon's in the air. You know, it's not entirely popped. I think we can move on from Townstar. That's
It's been beat to death. Everybody knows about it. I think I want one shout out though. Old Man Smithers has been putting out on Twitter like a very clear and concise explanation and description of how this whole transition of the nodes and that type of stuff. If you follow him on Twitter, he puts a lot of really good stuff out there. It's really lengthy and concise. I like it a lot. So. And Jesse, just so you know, I don't have a sex bot. I was promised one by Gala. Actually, I think you were there at the time. I think I have a text somewhere saying you were promising me this sex bot, but it never came.
Good.
I can't even imagine what place.
Don't imagine it. Just stop right there. Don't imagine it. Let's move on. Let's move on. Where are we at? Where's my little move on button?
Oh, here it is. There is an upcoming Walking Dead AMA for October 11th. They announced this about a week and a half ago, so we already brought it up last week. But Bitbenders reinforced ahead of the game that this is going to have some big announcements. I don't know what that means.
Big,
I'm going to say
a launch.
That's big, right?
Well, actually, that'd be awesome. Give me that. Yeah. I'm super stoked about that game. I'll play the hell out of that game.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah. So anyway,
don't
want to get anybody's hopes up, but who knows? There's supposed to be something big coming from the Walking Dead crew.
Cool.
Champions Arena is in season 4. Each time there's a new season, they feature 2 new heroes, or 2 champions rather. If anyone played during the play test, we got to see the I think maybe not the full catalog, but a much larger catalog than the number of heroes that have been made available at this point. And so what they're doing is they're just kind of like bleeding heroes that we already knew about back into the pool. I can't remember, Kate something or other. Anyway, there's some real overpowered characters that we're wondering how long it's going to be before they actually put them up. But Miko is one of the new characters, and she was a dominant figure in the play tests. So I'm wondering how she's wrecking the current meta as far as strategy and team building. Yeah. But they've also done away with the preseason. They used to do a little 1 to 2 day segment between seasons in order to just to do updates and kind of let everybody chill out. But they decided that they were just going to get rid of that. So season 4 will move right into season 5. There won't be any kind of hesitation. I did mention ahead of the game. Apparently, they're going to switch from a 60-minute to a 90-minute format because they were putting so much into it as far as already crafted content. They had the game updates in the beginning, and then they would do an interview, and then they wouldn't have any time for an AMA. So they decided that they wanted to tag on a bunch of extra time just so that they could be answering questions from the community directly. Nice. The first one went pretty well, but it was also because of a lot of the content that they had thrown in. They, instead of focusing on games this past week, they really dug in with Gala Film. It was they called it a film takeover. So they talked to a bunch of the different people involved with the Gala Film platform, particularly the people that are doing the shows. David Bianchi from Razer was there, Chuck Russell from Witchboard, and they did a little snippet on the Common Ground world, or not the Common Ground world, but the Common Ground film. And then PJ Achitoro from Ghosts of Ruin was their final interview. I was talking to some friends recently. Ghost of Ruin looks like fun. I think that could be a real good one. I'm more looking at the animated thing. I definitely, I'm not a horror guy. I know most of the world loves horror, but I can do psychological thriller. Horror is not so much my thing. But Ghost of Ruin seems like it has some interesting ideas, and the format for it also, like, I think is going to play well into a Web3 scenario when they're trying to do earnings or something through being connected to it, having certain levels of NFTs. It's going to be episodic, right? And seasons. So it's not just going to be a one-shot movie. So it'll make a little bit more sense as to divvying things up. If I still have no idea what their economic structure is going to be like for film, but for in my mind, it seems like something that's more episodic might have a more sensible approach.
But I mean, episodes themselves just tend to garner a little bit more of the viewership anyway. So
yeah,
be good.
The last thing, there was a Miranda's fireside chat. Lots of really big tech news. I love listening to Jason Hughes and watching him explain what has been happening. He's really passionate, but he's also really good at just dumbing it down for the rest of us. Like, he still uses like full language, and he's not afraid to use shop talk. But then he'll kind of just as he's talking, without stopping to define it for you, he kind of gives you an understanding of exactly what he's talking about.
I love that.
Yeah, he's very clear that and the engagement from the Miranda's team, the community, has been top notch. They really let us know what they're up to, and as a result, I don't think anyone is really picking up pitchforks and going after anything related to Miranda's at all. You know, the NFTs, some of them really expensive, and nobody's got too much bad to say about Miranda's. You know, like, and I think it has to do with the fact that they actually are letting us know what they're doing. They're communication is really the difference. So, some little things that came out of that are like immediately digestible for the community. Arrows are going to persist after firing, and it says they may shatter on impact, but you might also be able to retrieve them. McCarthy is like super stoked about the idea of you shooting an arrow at a goblin and missing, and he goes and picks up the arrow and shoots it back at you.
Yeah.
He said he'd just be thrilled to see that happen in game. He's got a fun sense of like really wanting to like make this game hard, and I think his entertainment value is going to come from just how many people he can slaughter.
Well, he 100% wants to make it so it's a hard game, and it's going to be even harder if it's just you. He really wants to instill the sense of guilds, communities, that type of thing within the whole ecosystem. So yeah, you could be the baddest, elf out there running around doing your thing, but in reality, to complete some of the tasks that need to have happen, you need to have a team. So
yeah. The NPCs, the AI for them is just keeps getting better and better. They're now able to interpret their world a little more directly, and so they will adjust position in order to make a ranged attack. They're not just going to stand there and keep firing at the corner of the house when you're hiding behind it. And they also have a trigger. They have a sense of when to switch from a ranged weapon to a melee weapon.
Nice.
One very nice thing, that friendly fire is going to affect NPCs. It's like, since there's no there's no PvP in the game, there's no friendly fire from the player side. It is going to affect the NPCs, and now they have to consider that. Are they going to shoot into a crowd of their own, like a crowd of goblins,
right?
Or are they going to wait for a shot, or are they going to decide to charge at that point? So these are all things that they're slowly building out the the prioritization and essentially the brain of the NPCs.
Yeah,
and they're getting smarter.
that's awesome.
They're using the phonemic classification system for proximity voice, and
Nice.
Jason Hughes said that's largely that's one of the things that he's tackling pretty directly. He's not alone in it, but it's definitely on his plate. He says it's been tough. It's for them to be able to have it become something more. They kept using the word gobbledygook. That it's not readily interpretable at this point, but you can hear it. So they're going to be refining that to the point where it doesn't matter what language you're speaking in. The game just wants to recreate the sounds that came out of your mouth so that it can be communicated across. And they want to be able to do it in such a way as you can morph your voice. So
that'd be cool.
So that, so that women won't immediately be like surrounded by nerds in basements, just like walking to their avatars, like you can sound like whatever you want to sound like within the parameters of the game.
Well, that would be cool, if like you're an elf and you sound like an elf, or you're an orc and you sound like an orc. Like having little things like that make the it kind of keeps you in the reality. Like, sometimes when you have, if you're really immersed in the game and stuff, and then you hear someone speak and it's this big, powerful orc and they sound like a little 12-year-old squeaker, you're like, oh, that's kind of game break. That kind of breaks the immersion a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally
there's little things that can really, boost the experience like that.
Yeah. Cemeteries are still being tested, but they do have the basic structure in place, and that's supposed to be supposed to figure into the next tech test. They also anticipate having both genders for all the races next tech test. So I'm assuming we're probably going to see a bunch of naked elves dancing in the Citadel, because that's what happens in every MMO when people get a chance to actually like play a female character. But they do have both genders, and they should have them into the next tech test. Jason Hughes also does a weekly. We have it posted there that the weekly update comes in the Discord, and he kind of most of what he was talking about kind of harkened back to what they spoke about within the fireside chat, but he did mention that in regards to the proximity chat, they had set up a swear jar.
Yeah.
Well, that was the name that he gave for the particular protocol that they had in place.
I love it though.
That's awesome.
Well, it set off this incredible debate in Miranda's chat, because there are a lot of people there that feel like censorship in that game would be absolutely unwelcome. If I'm going to be a swashbuckling pirate and I have to sound like a Teletubby, then I'm not going to want to be a part of that. It's like, okay, so, but what about someone like me who wants his kids to play the game and doesn't want some mouthy teenager just dropping F-bombs because he can, and so it turns out that swear jar just happens to be the name that they use for the protocol. They're not even talking about but it was an interesting discussion. And
I think there's a lot of there's a lot of ideas behind it that can really make it a little more. If you want to swear, you can swear. They're not taking that away at all. They're not taking away freedom of speech. They're not banning you at all. There's potentially, we don't even know what it's really going to be. Potentially, it's just a minuscule amount of materium you'd have to pay because that would automatically be rejected out.
I don't think it would be that either. Like I don't think they're going to reach into someone's wallet just because they couldn't control their tongue.
What would be hilarious is if every time you swear, a really, really annoying NPC just pops up in the middle of your screen. It's just like, hey, that's a bad word, or just something. And like every time, it just gets so annoying that people are like
Demolition Man, where every time he swore, that little like ticket came off of some kind of like the receipt printer or whatever.
Yeah. There could be some fun stuff that you could do with it that wouldn't hinder the gameplay or anything along those lines, and actually make it quite funny potentially.
Yeah.
So.
The swear fairy shows up and like gives you a hard time.
Yeah, scolds you.
All right, we're running up. We're way past our time.
But and that's what we've got. We did go a little bit deep on a couple things there, so that stretched us out. But that is what we had. It was, again, not any specific new game release dates, but still enough to need to be updated. We had a lot of new things come up. I don't know what's next. I guess we look forward to the next.
Well, we'll look forward to the next one. We'll schedule it for Monday. So Fridays seem to be a little bit rough for everybody. So let's try to make it Mondays to be more consistent. And same time frame, 10:30 Pacific.
Yeah.
And I want to do one more shout out when we talk about ahead of the game. Timbo is supposed to be on it this coming Thursday. So he's going to talk about a lot of the cool stuff that they're making over there at the MOF and some of his collaborations that we're doing with the collective. So give him a listen. I'll be on there as well. So
yeah.
But otherwise, thanks, Family Man. It was great. Good info. So
this is a great opportunity just to keep these things fresh in our minds.
Yep. Keep it going, man. Keep it going.
And for anyone listening, be sure to check out our Medium page. We'll have an article posted this afternoon kind of summarizing everything we talked about today, so you can get your hands on it, get all the links, and go from there. So
cool. All right, guys.
All right, everybody. We appreciate it.
Good day.